Yes, please. Okay, so here we are. I'm sharing my screen or not? Okay. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to our 55 community meeting on February 19, 2025. The second one of the year or the third one? I don't remember. Clearly this was on 25. And clearly this one on 25. So it's the third of the year. Yeah. Okay, so what do we have from the previous meeting? If I remember correctly, we discussed a couple of things, but I don't think I attended this meeting. So it was short meeting because we discussed a couple of stuff of the CNCF sandbox and stuff like that. So first up, CNCF sandbox status. So the new here is that we were actually accepted on the sandbox, as everyone knows. There's a couple of things that we've been working on this one related to the sandbox admission that are being tracked in this issue here. Onboarding, CloudNativePG. I'm going to paste the issue on the agenda when I can copy and paste, which is something that we can. Why I cannot copy and paste? Done. Okay, this is the issue of the stuff that we are onboarding right now on the CNCF. The process is not that quick and fast. Okay, there's a couple of stuff that related to the agreement. Actually, this is something we can mark already as done because we already transferred the domains and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a work in progress. If someone has some question, you can make it. But mostly the only stop that we have right now is legal stuff. Okay, and that's all. If I remember correctly, yeah, because we already follow a couple of stuff from here. Transfers any trademark and logo. This is actually the one that we are missing right now. Okay, so and everything else has already been done. Or we are working on it. At some point, we need to migrate the Slack channel, but once this is done, we will proceed with that one. If someone is asking when is this going to happen, probably we don't know because it takes time and there's not too many people working on this. Like just probably Mark with me. And yeah, that's it. Second issue, someone didn't know, last week 17.3 of PostgreSQL was released. This means that finally we had a fix on a CVE that was long time report ago. This was obviously discussed in the private community in PostgreSQL. And sadly, they found in the same day, and I'm not kidding, in the same day, that there was another bug that was fixed and was has been tested, and it's going to be released this Thursday, 17.4, meaning that we cannot release this Thursday. Because if I remember correctly, we have scheduled the release for this week, right? What do we have? I always need to do the same. Cloud 93, documentation, Kubernetes table, release notes, supported releases. Yeah, today you can actually see how I do stuff when I follow the documentation that we write. So,
No,
no.
No, I think the scheduled one is only for the minor.
Yeah.
for the patch. But yeah, tentatively we would have released this week, but it's not possible to do the same day of Postgres. So
especially because we are not going to ship a version of the operator having the full version of Postgres with a known bug. Okay. So, and obviously that will release also the other stuff that is 124, etc. So Jeremy, if there's time at the end, I'd like to try installing multiple versions of CMP on a single Kubernetes cluster at the same time, listening to different spaces. Curious if others have done this and it's already done. Yes, that can be done. The only problem is changing, having different versions that has CRD that is not compatible. Anyway, Jonathan, please go ahead and tell us about your FIO benchmarks using the kubectl plugin, please.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Recently, I've been using the kubectl plugin from CNPG to run a few benchmarks for a couple of environments and to test the disks and the response of the disks and to validate the architecture of various Kubernetes clusters. This is helpful, but I found it not difficult, but I found a limitation of the kubectl plugin default configuration for the FIO, because at the moment it only contains the reads and not the writes. So I'm testing, of course, with a custom version of the configuration right now, but it would be helpful to have, I mean, I will open a PR with writes as well, the right configuration for FIO, but I need to find a way to run the test in two different moments because, as I understand correctly, FIO runs the single job. I mean, the job defined in a single configuration in parallel. So if you put too many jobs in the same configuration file, it will run them in parallel, and it will invalidate the results. Let's say. So if you want to test both read and write, you need to do it separately. So at this point, I will use my experience with this test to improve the experience of CloudNativePG plugin using FIO for benchmarking. That's it. I would like to have feedback at some point when the PR will be ready. Thank you. Any questions?
Probably you can present the full research on the Data on Kubernetes Community Day webinar, because this is going to be really useful for people that actually wants to test how fast are the servers, because even if people think they are running on the cloud, actually the storage is quite a thing. And sometimes it's really, really slow, as we already learned. Because, yeah, can you or plan to share those results in the future, Lenny?
I think I will. Yeah, I will prepare something. Or it could be a talk, it could be a webinar, or I mean, meetup. It's something will come up for sure. Also, I want to introduce as well the fsync test from Postgres, which is already available in the binary, as a binary in the package. So we can use that through the CloudNativePG to benchmark the fsync on disks.
Awesome. Okay.
yeah, that's the
Going
only
back to
test.
my
And when it say that it's very fast, it's a bad result. As a joke.
Yeah.
Because
Sadly.
it doesn't reach the disk for real.
Yeah, we have been doing some research on this, and there's a lot of stuff that actually don't match the speed they say too much, and we are not going to say, but those results will be fun. Continue. Jeremy asked it, if you can run multiple versions of CNPG.
Oh, I think you already answered that. I just typed it in there for the minutes.
Multiple versions of CNPG.
Is my audio working?
Lasse, yeah, it's working. See,
I would like to ask why.
Is my audio? Oh, good, it is working. Is that question for me, like why we were want to run multiple versions? The reason was for change control. If we have a very large number of Postgres clusters installed on a single Kubernetes cluster, that might be a situation where we would like to not, as we're rolling out new versions of CNPG, we'd like to have the option of not doing everything all at once, but like having the new CNPG version, put it out there for like a subset of our Postgres clusters, let it bake for a couple of weeks, make sure we don't see any issues, and then we upgrade it for the rest.
Okay, so something like a redeployment.
There will also be another problem, because if you were to upgrade the operator for multiple installations, it will perform a switchover, a failover of all of the pods, because it needs to upgrade the operator image on each of the pods.
Okay, okay, I understand. For the second thing, there is a patch that have been made by Leonardo, if I remember correctly, to spread the restart. So I don't remember the details, but the documentation, I think it's something like a spread the restart or cluster restart or something like that. Leonardo, maybe you can help me because
I'm looking at the documentation. I remember me documenting it. But...
exactly to solve the issue that I was suggesting. So the idea is to serialize the restarts and to spread them, in a way that doesn't load the cluster too much, the Kubernetes cluster too much. And the other question, while cluster rollout delay, that one in the operator configuration.
This you're just saying is a general issue if you have a large number of Postgres clusters that CNPG is managing, regardless of if there's multiple versions of CNPG or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And regarding the multiple versions, you can run an operator in a single namespace mode. Is not something that you can do directly with the normal installation unless you are on OpenShift, but it is possible. The issue here is that the
admission
CRD
webhooks. It wouldn't work because of the admission webhooks. You can't install multiple single namespace operators.
Not only, you can also overcome that because you can change your deployment to have a different admission webhook for every namespace. That is possible, is how OpenShift do it. But still, you have the CRD that is shared between all the instances, all the deployments of the operator. So as long as your CRD is compatible, so for example, a patch release, you could do that. You need to be very careful about the fact that if we add some field, you are always using the latest version of the CRD, but it is possible. I don't know if it is something that I will do, because then you have to manage every namespace with a different operator, and it is prone to errors. That's why we don't generally recommend that.
We can do a list of namespaces, right? So it doesn't have to be a one-to-one.
There is even more dangerous, because then you need to be very certain that there are not two operators that are overlapping on a single namespace, and also there are issues with the communication. If you are using network policies, yeah, it's complicated. I think Jonathan knows better than me in this
Yeah,
case.
that's okay. This is the problem here, is that it's not one problem with one specific solution like rules everyone. We have had this question for a long time in the Slack, emails, and even customers. The issue of the CRD, even if this version of the issue of the CRDs is for the API. So we will have to say, okay, are you going to use V1 point something or V1 point something, and you start having a really complicated CRDs that are actually really hard to parse, and not even talking about the Helm charts, which is even more complicated. Now, what is on the other issue? When you have one namespace to one namespace, the operator will need a service account that you will be exposing to the users of those databases. Okay, you avoid that, and you have one namespace to many namespaces. So you have one namespace that needs to be accessed by other namespace that you may not have control over it, which is another issue, because you need to also allow the traffic from those namespaces to the operator. And those namespace needs to know that they will be having access to the operator, and the operator is going to be watching. That's fine. But at some point, that maybe what happened if someone else is, because this is a case that I actually saw on production, some other operator is also watching the same namespace that other operator is seeing in a different version. Two operators looking at the same namespace, not because someone wanted, because someone misconfigured his operator. And that will be a really mess. And people will blame the operator. Why the operator wasn't able to manage this? Why you have two operators running with two different versions?
I mean, yeah.
Why, even if it's the same version? So most of the things here, that's why when we get this question is use OpenShift in that case. OpenShift manage the CRDs. You can access the CRD to a specific object from a specific namespace, and they match that, and they have some specific rules on top of the control plane for Kubernetes to manage these and specific permissions. They manage the network policies under the hood, and by default, you will not have direct access to. Okay, so that's one of the things. Now, there's another issue that is even worse. The users are actually, since the CRD are global objects, the users are actually able to see those CRD, meaning that they can create or request the creation of this object. But that object will never be created because the user don't know if they can actually create it or not.
It sounds like there's nothing in CNPG. It sounds like most of the issues are around like trying to manage all of the ways that it can go wrong, but it's not necessarily that there's something in CNPG that's directly incompatible, like a breaking change in the CRD. Am I summarizing that right?
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody really, really knows what they're doing and can either run it on OpenShift or effectively solve all the same problems that OpenShift is solving, it theoretically could be done, but also, I don't know, CNPG is hesitant to like advertise support for this sort of thing because it's a huge job to try to get all of this right. And there's probably a lot of other things that are more important than this.
Yeah, and this is an issue that is not easy to solve. there's a lot of people that is, for example, there's a pull request on the Helm chart that's supposed to facilitate the action of doing this. But the problem is that if we allow this kind of things, we are going to open the doors to people doing the wrong thing. And if we do that, guess who are you going to blame?
Okay, yeah, that answers the question.
That is an issue. Yeah.
Cool.
So, Jeremy. Okay, so continue with the next one. That is for you.
Okay, can I ask one more question on this topic?
Yeah.
Because currently on the Helm chart for the operator, I don't think we support what Marco suggested for namespace admission validation webhooks. Given that technically, based on this discussion, we're not really interested in providing support for
Yes.
multiple single namespace installations. Do we want to do that in the Helm chart or not?
No,
Okay,
because we will have to start managing all the corner cases for everything.
Okay, then we should leave it like that intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are, as Jeremy say, if you know what you're doing, you will actually find out that you can use policies, you can use probably network policies, you can start using Argo CD and deploy with in different ways. You will actually be able to do it. That is not an issue. And you will already know how to do it. Can you do it?
We probably
Yes.
would not use the stock Helm charts either if somebody was going to do that.
Exactly. If you will not use Helm chart, because obviously we have the other issue on Helm charts, that Helm charts cannot have more than one version at the same time. Okay, now you can insert Helm charts per namespaces. True, but not people will not do that. And people will want the specific version. If you actually doing this, it's because you want a specific version of the operator. And even people now doesn't know that you can even having more than one version of the CRPs and the operator in the same Helm chart is not something easy. So yeah, that is a problem in that we can have in the future if we open the door to this. If you know what you're doing, you will use Kyverno, Argo CD or Flux CD. You will use proper network policies for the security. You will probably manage the permissions and a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, it's we can discuss about this a lot if you want. Okay, but
my questions are answered for now. Thank you.
okay, for now, okay, got it. Well, let's go to the next one. Client API SDK for Golang. Add Kubernetes Client Tool support. This was merged, Jeremy, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That was really
Yeah.
okay. I need to go catch up. My bad.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
We had talked about this on Slack 2 weeks ago, and then I forgot to check back, and I just now remembered and posted it on the agenda. Okay, it's merged. Just write down that it's merged.
Yeah. I think that there's some missing documentation on this that we should say how to use it. Because this pull request didn't add that documentation, but it would be nice to have a documentation to tell users on how to use this new stuff. But yeah. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it well. Sorry if I don't. Pierrick?
Yeah, that's fine. Pierrick.
Specific configuration for replicas? Please go ahead.
Yes, this was a question I saw on Slack, and I was wondering if it's possible to just have a specific configuration for replicas or not. Is it possible or not?
What specific configuration?
Like, for example, on the primary, you can have workmem set to, I don't know, 1 or 10 megabytes, and maybe on the replica, you want workmem to be 20, 30, I don't know. And is it possible or not to do that?
I know the
And
answer,
the
but I
problem is
think
that
that Leonardo can help you better on this one, for sure.
Me? Anyway, it's the same. So basically, it's not possible. And it's not possible because we want all the Postgres image instances to have the same configuration, because a failover could happen or a switchover, and we don't want a different performance profile after that event happens. But
Yeah.
if you like to have a replica with a different configuration, that's absolutely reasonable, because maybe, I don't know, you want to run some big queries over it,
Exactly.
call up, whatever, different kind of workload. Huh?
Yeah,
You could do
exactly.
that. Just create a replica cluster attached to your one, maybe with
Oh,
just
yeah.
one instance and a different configuration. But okay, you need to be sure
I
that
didn't think about
actually
it.
the Postgres configuration need to be compatible, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, replication would stop. And, you know, but yeah, I don't tell you. You already know that. Postgres black
Yeah, sure.
magic happens when you change parameters across different physical replicas and
Yeah.
if
Also,
you
if I remember correctly, what mem can be set by session.
Exactly, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
don't know
you-
if
so
this
you can-
parameter was the best one to give an example, but it was one.
and I've solved a similar problem with having a separate cluster and set up logical replication, and I can even only sync specific tables that I'm interested in with running with different, more optimized environment, specifically read optimized.
You can also set work mem, well, a lot of parameters you can set at the user level as well, which can be very helpful for cases like this. I have a quick question. The replica cluster, can you create a replica cluster inside of the same, I think you can, I just have never tried it, but create it right inside of the same Kubernetes cluster, like create a
Yeah,
new.
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just hadn't tried that. That's, yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
And it can get synced via streaming replication, but also from storage, from like Barman object store, like S3.
Can you use snapshots too?
No, I don't
Okay.
know. Because the idea is that it's synced in real time.
Oh, I just meant for creating it initially. Right, yeah, the barman for the synchronization.
Actually, it could be in the same namespace, so there's no limitations.
Just don't use the same name.
I see. Obviously.
And if you enable backups, make sure they're going to a different location.
Please.
Yeah, actually, if I was wiser, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of difficult to avoid when people do stuff that are really weird. Anyway, someone else has any questions, something to add to our beautiful agenda? Yes, no?
Nope.
Discuss it in Slack. Okay, I know that there's a lot of people waiting for pull requests. You can see I have a list of requests and stuff on my beautiful tabs. So there's a lot of things going on. A lot of people here is working on merging stuff. Okay, Jaime, Armando, and Leo are doing a really hard work on reviewing and merging things. So if something is going to be included in the version, it's going to be merged. Patience. There's no many hands, okay? But we will do our best.
The opposite. I'm reviewing the recent test results and opening bugs.
Yeah, that's why I hate you. But I'm not going to tell everyone. Okay. So that's it. Thank you for attending our meeting. And we will see you in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In March. Better. before kubecon. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
How do I stop this?
Thank you.
Okay, we can leave it.
Ciao.
Bye.
Down.